It is always fun to read the Deloitte Money League, and 2025 was no different. It was great entertainment. I saw a lot of people that I am friends with and respect dig really into the numbers, and I've read a lot about how people have analyzed the ups, the downs, who's moved up, who's moved down, across, so on. But to me, it's an exciting time for the press that it generates, but I'm not sure we can learn all that much from the Money Report. Now, the finance of football Deloitte report, which is much more analytical, comes later in the year. Fabulous stuff. This one is a great headline grabber. Greatly respect the guys at Deloitte. Have worked with them in the past. Hope to work with them again in the future. But I think it's very hard to take too much out of this. So to me, if I want to sum it up, I come back to revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. These acronyms exist for a reason. They're general, but yeah, they're pretty accurate. And the Money League for me is a demonstration of perhaps sports obsession with the top line, at least in the media, because I'm not sure we can read all that much into it. There was a time when, Barcelona was right at the top, and I greatly respect people like Javier Sobrino who came up with a strategy that led to that massive revenue growth and fabulous job. But in the background, it was clear nothing was being done at other parts of the club, like transfer spending, to make the most of the fact that they were making all this revenue, turn the club into a profitable entity. And now we see them effectively having to sell off assets to maintain their cash position. When you look at the Premier League, I think in 22-23, only 4 clubs reported a net profit before tax. And again, when you see the amount of revenue that is coming to the league, it's that they're going, okay, revenue is vanity and profit is sanity. You know, when over 75%, maybe 80% of your clubs are unprofitable, but have increasing revenue growth, there is a question that needs to be raised. And I think this is similar across Europe. It is worse at something like the championship level, where I don't believe in the 22-23 season, a single club declared a profit before tax. So again, revenue will have gone up. The numbers at the top line level are all pointing the right direction, despite some of the headwinds that the sports industry is facing. And that makes me twitchy because I love this industry and I'm, repeatedly stating I'm a bull on the space. But if you look at Formula One and the valuations and the improvements in the business of Formula One, yes, part of it is drive to survive. Yes, part of it is better storytelling. And these are all critical things that we are in our gift to control. But at the same time, it was the change in the 2020 Concord Agreement that said you can now have visibility on your downside scenario. Not that you can't make losses, but you have visibility on what your downside scenario is. And as an investor, that is just absolutely critical to whether you go in or not. And now in 2020, I was trying to convince people to back me to invest in Formula One, and everyone thought I was crazy. Honestly, I don't, hold it against them, because prior to 2020, yeah, it made no sense. It was a black pit. It was literally the money pit and the fabulous movie with, Tom Hanks, but you could not see how much you would lose. So very difficult as an investor to come in. When people ask me about football clubs in England, I think there are some definite stores of value in English football and definitely in European football. You have to look for clubs that are well run or where you see a distressed asset that you can help and fix and you're willing to put in the hard yards. So, what did I learn from the Money Report? We're obsessed with revenue. We have not wrapped our heads around getting sane and making sure that the leagues are profitable. And both politicians and the media and fans, they all struggle with this concept, because if you are profitable, why aren't you spending more money on your players? And if you're loss making, why aren't you running the club well? And, basically you have almost zero wiggle room as an owner of a football club. So I think we need to figure out the sanity piece. For me, at some point, that means NFL Players Association style deals, CBA style deals, I think will need to be done with the players. Ultimately, I think that's the end game. I'm not sure that happens anytime soon, but I think some sort of CBA is required. Because where I get nervous is if cash is king and you're not profitable, you're probably going to have to either sell assets or take on debt to make sure you have the cash. And in the long term, I'm not a fan of excessive debt. I have no issue with debt. Anyone who's bought a house, you know you need to take on debt to buy a house. Excessive debt is what worries me. And if you don't turn the corner at some point, it makes me twitchy.